Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I am the Mighty Plantain. We're taking a look at the Cervezas De Mexico variety pack. This is the one from 2017. I just came across it about a week ago, so it's probably been replaced by now with the 2018 pack. I don't know. We'll find out. I may even do these back to back if I find that one. But what we've got here is we've got Tecate Light, Dos Equis Lager, Carta Blanca, and Dos Equis Ambar. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a Dos Equis Azul, I believe, in one of these, and I've been trying to track that down ever since because we don't see that beer here in the U.S. very much, or at least not in the area I live in. And I think it was exclusive to that 12-pack at the time. But at any rate, I've had the regular Tecate, not the light. I've had both of the Dos Equis. And the Carta Blanca is actually going to be new to me. So this should be fairly interesting. When I first discovered Dos Equis, actually, they'd been hitting the ad campaign pretty heavy, and I had just graduated college, went down to Florida on a trip with my aunt and uncle. It was my graduation gift. Anyway, and I was staying in a hotel one night, and that was what they had on tap, was the Dos Equis and the Dos Equis Ambar. And I went back and forth all night on those. So yeah. Just a little trip down memory lane for me. It means nothing to you, I guarantee it. But let's get into the Tecate Light, which is the first one up. I'm going to follow that with the Carta Blanca, then the regular Dos Equis, and the Dos Equis Ambar. Just remembered. This says it's a twist top. Jeez, that was on there pretty tight. About to tear up my hand pretty good. Might just be this particular pack. Well, that is a nice, pretty light beer. There's a little bit of color to it, a little bit of an orangish, amberish color to it where the beer gets thicker. But it does look very light, very clear. Pretty effervescent. Not much in the aroma, just a general beer aroma. Similar to the original Tecate. It's just a nice, simple beer-flavored beer. Maybe a bit lighter, a bit more watery than the original Tecate. I mean, it's a light version of that beer. Not bad, not great. Just a simple old beer-flavored beer. Easy drinking, probably better for you than the regular Tecate, being a light beer. It's going to have less calories, etc., etc. I got to hit this one with a 2 out of 5. The regular Tecate was just a nice average beer. This one's losing a few points just because of the watered down flavor that you get with any light beer. So yeah, the 2.5 on a scale of 1 to 5 is average. So this is just a slightly below average beer, and like I said, the only reason it's losing any points at all is because of that slightly watered down flavor. Overall, though, easy to drink, something you can kick back with a whole 12-pack of on a nice hot summer day. So I'm going to finish this one up, and we will move on to the Carta Blanca. Alright, next up, Carta Blanca. Cerveza. Not much info on here. Yeah, some of it's in Spanish, which I cannot read. So we're just going to check out the beer. Should have popped that right off. Try to give that a more aggressive pour so I can actually put a head on some of these. It's actually slightly cloudy. It's a bit more yellow than the last one. Slightly cloudy beer. A little less effervescent. Fewer bubbles coming up from that nucleation point down there, but still Very different look. Again, just a general beery aroma. Maybe slightly grainy. A hint of bitterness, maybe? Nothing really pronounced, though. It does have a bit of a grainy taste to it. A little bit of bitterness in the finish. Not really a hoppy bitterness, just a general beer bitterness. It's crisp. Smooth and easy drinking, just like the last one. Now, that hint of bitterness is lingering a bit, though. It's not bad, though. Again, there's not a lot to talk about there. It's basically a beer-flavored beer. I think what we're getting in this pack, just based on my past experience with the two Dos Equis that are coming up, and what we've had so far, is just these are just standard beers from Mexico. It's not going to be anything crazy or ridiculously flavorful. We're looking at basically our equivalent of Budweiser, their equivalent of our Budweiser, Miller, and Coors, and those other types of things. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. Down in the comments, the email link. I'd love to hear from you. But I'm guessing that these just aren't really the most outstanding Mexican beers that are out there. I haven't had a whole lot of Mexican beers outside of what's usually available every year in the Beers of Mexico pack. Most of what I see in the stores around here are from domestic craft breweries. I don't see a lot from international. What we usually see from international breweries around here are the bigger beers, the bigger names. So, I don't know. Wouldn't mind getting a hold of some actual Mexican beers from some breweries that are pulling some craft stuff down and really getting experimental. I don't know. Maybe it's not as big an industry down there as it is up here. Well, the Carta Blanca coming in at a solid 2.5 out of 5. Nice, average beer. Just a good, crisp, slightly bitter beer-flavored beer that's easy drinking anytime. So I'm going to finish it up, and we will get into the first of the two Dos Equis. Alright, so I may not be the most interesting man in the world. Hell, according to my subscriber numbers, I'm not even moderately interesting, but I do have a Dos Equis. This is the regular Dos Equis, the Lager Especial. I believe Dos Equis is Spanish for two Equis. 2 X's. That's on the label. I don't know what the significance of that is. If it was liquor, I'd say it's 2X liquor versus 3X liquor. Classic Simpsons gig, or gag, whatever. There we go. Got that one rolled off. I am a fan of the look of green glass bottles. A lot of people will tell you it lets, a little bit too much light in. It can do stuff to mess with the beer. But I love the look at that. I mean, that's a beautiful bottle. Green's my favorite color anyway. But I would say it depends on how long this stuff is going to sit on the shelves exposed to light. Once it's in your fridge, it's only exposed to light when the light's on and the door's open, which shouldn't be that often if you're saving electricity. Yes, I yell at my kid all the fucking time for leaving the fridge door open. Anyway, I guess the green glass bottles, is it worth the nice look of them to have the light getting in and spoiling the beer? And it really comes down to, like I said, how long is this stuff sitting on the shelves? A few years ago, I would have said Dos Equis doesn't sit on the shelves very long because it was very popular. It was flying off the shelves. These days, I think its popularity has waned a little bit, so I'm back to not being a fan of the green bottles. But, like I said, they always look spectacular. But, I digress. That is actually, I know the Dos Equis Amber is coming up, or Ambar, but that's actually a more amber-colored beer than the other two that we've had. This may be why I prefer Dos Equis over Corona or some of the other more popular Mexican beers out there. It's just got a little bit more color, which means typically that it has a little bit more body and flavor. I've always described it as a slightly heavier version of Corona. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that. But once again, not getting a very strong aroma, just a general beeriness off of it. And it's got that same general beer-flavored beer, nice crispness, but this has got a little bit more body, a slightly heavier mouthfeel to it than the other two that we've had so far in this pack. And again, like I said, Corona being a fairly popular Mexican beer, this has got slightly more body than that, and it's got the color. It's very smooth, very easy to drink, just like the other two, but nothing that's really standing out and making it special. Another 2.5 out of 5. A nice, average beer. Easy going, easy to drink. Like I said, I know Corona's not in this pack, but this I honestly find preferable to Corona, but comparable. So if you got a friend who's a big Corona drinker, and you want to start easing them into the world of craft beer and different styles, have them try Dos Equis. Pardon. If they like the more full-bodied beer with a little bit more beer flavor to it, then maybe you move them into something like a nice craft lager or ale. Maybe push them up to a Sam Adams. Oof. I think I might be about to get the hiccups, but I'm going to try and tamp that down. Maybe push them into something like the Sam Adams Boston Lager, or a more well-rounded beer with more body and more flavor, and then start introducing them into those things. Try to feel them out, see if they like the graininess of the Boston Lager or the hoppiness of it. You know, they like the bitter. It will lead you down a path towards better beers. Like I said, if you got a Corona drinker, try and put them on the Dos Equis, and that'll start them on the path towards more high quality beers. Done it before, and it worked. So again, nice solid 2.5 out of 5, although I do prefer this over Corona and some of the lighter less full-bodied Mexican beers. And again, it's got a nice special place in my memories. So, that's enough about the Dos Equis. I'm going to finish this one off. I'm going to move on to Dos Equis, the Ambar. One. Alright, and the last beer in the Cervezas de Mexico pack from 2017, which may be out of date by the time this gets posted, because I'm going to post it on Cinco De Mayo for 2018. They might have released a new pack by then. But this is the Dos Equis Ambar, and I know it's probably horrible that I'm trying to throw a little bit of inflection on some of these terms that I've been using. I can't roll my R's that great. Dos Equis Ambar. Yeah, see, falls flat. But I am trying to get a little bit of inflection on there, and I'm probably screwing it up and actually making myself look like an ass more than anything else. But I seem to want to throw that inflection on there, and the more beers I get in me, the more I want to fake having a Mexican accent. And I'm claiming, for this Cinco de Mayo, I am claiming honorary Latino status. My last name is a French origin, but if you add a Z on the end of it, which everybody seems compelled to do because the Latino spelling is far more common than the French spelling, it becomes of Latin origin. God, it's like people don't think I know how to spell my own goddamn last name. They keep adding that Z. I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. It just pisses me off that when I take the time to write it out properly, somebody just feels the need to put an extra letter on my name. Like they think I don't know how to spell it myself. It used to piss me off with the mailroom at my college. Well, I did spend one semester at a college before I was asked not to come back. That's a long story. But I'd pick up packages, I'd pick up letters, and there'd be big old Sharpie putting that little Z on the end of my name. Just adding it in. Anyway, I think I've had enough to drink tonight, but still going to have at least one more. Dos Equis Ambar. Oh, that's the darkest of the bunch so far. I would like to point out that with the exception of the Tecate, these have all been non-twist tops, which is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Look at that. That is a nice, I don't know if I'd call it amber. That's more of a brown color to me, but definitely the darkest of the four. Still not overwhelming in any sort of aroma. Just a general beery aroma. Oh, that's even more full-bodied than the Dos Equis. It's actually a little bit of a bitterness in the finish. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel. These guys have all been pretty light on the mouthfeel so far, but this one's got a nice medium mouthfeel. It's still crisp and refreshing and easy to drink, though. But it's definitely more full-bodied. It's got a bit of that bitterness in the finish. A little bit more grainy up front. Almost more of a oatmeal-y feel to it, with that heavier mouth feel and the graininess. It reminds me of a nice solid liquid oatmeal. With that hint of bitterness in the finish. I think I'm still going to leave this at a 2.5 out of 5. It's just a nice average beer compared to all the other stuff that I drink on a regular basis. But I will say this, given the choice of the 4 out of this pack, the Dos Equis Ambar is definitely number 1. Just slightly edging out the regular Dos Equis. Don't get me wrong, the Tecate Light is a nice light beer, but it is still a light beer and slightly watered down because of that. It has nothing to do with where it's from, just most light beers are just slightly watery. Whew, pardon. The Carta Blanca was pretty decent, and so is the Dos Equis. I would probably take the regular Dos Equis over the Carta Blanca, just because of the, I've got the personal connection with some memories connected to it, and the fact that it's got a slightly more full body, and it's also a nice gateway beer for folks who are not used to having good craft beer. It's one that can start edging them towards that very slowly. And then the Ambar is probably the number 1 out of this pack for me. Honestly, if I were to do the quarter ratings, which I stay away from, I try to keep things more simple than I really need to, probably. I could be rating every single beer I try on 5, 6, up to 10 different categories on a 1 to 10 scale, but it's way too much effort, way too much thought, and it just makes things way too complex and crazy. So I like to give it a simple 1 to 5 rating, and I stick with the half ratings. I don't go down to the quarter. Wow, I'm talking way too much. Maybe these beers are hitting me harder than I thought, but if I were to go with the quarter ratings, the Ambar would probably get a 2.75, because I'm not quite ready to say it's a nice above average beer, but I would rate it higher than the others in the pack. So, just for the sake of sticking with my guns, I am going to give it a 2.5 out of 5, but I will say with the qualifier that it is by the best out of these 4. So that's what I got to say about these beers. All very nice, very average beers. Nothing unusual or unexpected, no standouts, just easy to drink stuff. This whole 12 pack, if I were to sit down and decide to go through it in one evening, probably could, but it'd have to be an early start and a late finish. Yeah. But definitely worth looking into for Cinco de Mayo, as long as you don't have to work the next day. But that's all I got to say about the beers. Make sure to hit me up down in the comments, the email link down below. I'd like to know what you have to say, if you agree, disagree, or if you just have anything to say about any of the 4 beers in this pack. While you're down there, make sure to hit me up with a like and a share, and don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you get a notification whenever I post a new video. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers. And stay thirsty, my friends. Had to do it, even though it was horrible. A horrible impression, that is.